Hearty welcome, everyone. Welcome, 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 welcome. Good evening, happy new month, and happy weekend. So we are grateful for yet another opportunity to learn. It's another weekend where we are intentional about politics, governance, politeracy, to summarize it. And I believe that we are geared. I believe that we are prepared, pumped to learn something new. You know, there's a saying that the only room that is very big and that can never be used up is the room for improvement. So it's good that we are here. It's 5. It's good that we are here and we are early. So I'd like to commend each and every one of us for coming in early, okay? We would give the rest of our cohort mates, if I could use that word, another 5 minutes to come into class. But please, let's stick with the rules. Once you come in, put your name in the chat box as you would want them to appear on your certificate, and also state the pseudo-political party that you represent. Party chairpersons, if you're in the house, please ensure that your party members are in class. You are solely responsible for this, so please take on that responsibility seriously and ensure that your party members are here, okay? The class runs for about an hour, 30 minutes, an hour, 45 minutes max, so that we can all go about our other responsibilities and duties. The way the class goes, the facilitator, who is already in class, will take us through the session, after which we can then ask our questions. Questions can simultaneously be placed in the chat box, or after the session is over, after the facilitator is done, I would indicate for those who have questions, comments, or inputs, or anything they would like to add to the session. All right. So like I mentioned earlier, we would give the rest of our classmates about 4 minutes now to come into class. Please go and nod your members. For all the parties represented here, please go back, let them know that the class is about to kickstart. Thank you, and see you soon. Or speak soon, if I could say that. Hey, okay, so it's 5 minutes after the hour of 5 p.m. and we kickstart. Today, as you can all see from the screen or on your screen, our facilitator is no stranger to us. You have seen him, you have heard him. Today, we have one more opportunity to listen to him. I want to crave our indulgences. When you see someone or when you hear someone who has some wealth of experience, it's important that you are not just here because you want, because they say that you should be here, but that you open up your mind and be present, because if you're present, then you can glean and learn something. So today we'll be having the executive director of the Electoral College. He's no stranger, like I mentioned earlier. I would run through his profile briefly and introduce him to the virtual electorate as he takes us on the legislative arm of government. So this individual, as you all know, is an entrepreneur, he's an idea generator, politician, TEDx speaker, and patriot. He has a keen eye for opportunities based on his experience in politics, working with non-governmental organizations and the federal government. He is one passionate individual about Nigeria. He's someone you could term a detribalized Nigerian. He considers his boundaries to be limitless, and he's really focused on changing the Nigerian narrative in political participation. He was once an acting national publicity secretary of COA Party, and in his time there, he built 6 state structures and developed the e-membership system, which fetched such an individual an e-membership card in 2 minutes. He conducted the only e-election in a political party ratified by INEC. He was the Alliance for New Nigeria, ANN, FCT's senatorial candidate in 2019. And apart from having a phenomenal race, he ran with 49 pieces of legislation, which he hopes to use when he won. He has since transitioned to a non-partisan influential player in politics and electoral matters in Nigeria. He currently serves as the executive director of the ECN, Africa's first school of literacy and governance, which has trained over 10,000 Nigerians for free on a 28-course module spanning politics and governance. Ladies and gentlemen, this individual has worked on interventions for the Electoral Act 2022 and a few other legislations. He's one of the most televised Nigerians and speaks about key issues of national discourse and explanations on legislation, governance, and policy. Ladies and gentlemen, please, with emojis, let's welcome Mr. Kunle Lawal as he takes us on the legislative. Good evening, everyone, and over to you, sir. We can't hear you, Edie.
Sorry, good evening, everyone. It's always a pleasure to be here. I forgot to unmute my computer, so it's always a pleasure to be here. Thank you, everyone. I've noticed the participation or parties attending and members of the court attending is kind of poor. Now, I know that, and I need to explain something, and I want the 12 cohort to understand it. If I put a price on this class, you wouldn't be able to pay for it. I'm being honest about it. And that's why, if you know what is taken by the college to present these classes to you for free, you know that a lot of work is being done. A lot of us from the CHA in Nigeria, but we're not ready to understand. And I know one of the hardest concepts is telling Nigerians they don't know about something they think they know about, which is things. So with the power vested in me by the board and the region today, Maureen, are you there? Maureen is in charge of attendance. Maureen, I need to know you can hear me. Maureen, are you there?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, Maureen, of today's attendance, whichever party ends up the least attending, whichever party ends up the least, and please show the statistics to me before we present it to the cohort. And whatever party attends the least, has the least members in attendance from this class, we will collapse that entire party and we will continue doing it till we get a system that works. I will tell you something about politics and power. There's zero tolerance for errors on the route to power. You might think a lot of politicians Most people say, politicians are not doing anything incredible. They're on this. I'll tell you, you can't even match the work rates of a chief of staff, talk less of a governor or even the president. This does not mean that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, but I would like to make it clear that the work actually demands a lot more than you think. And if I wanted people to be able to match the leadership process, to be able to match the political process, and also the administrative process involved in politics and governance, they also must have something which has been missing in the Nigerian nation, which is character. The Electoral College has no bends on character. I know everybody will look at the ED as the devil in blue. I'm wearing a blue kaftan today. Devil in blue plain stripes. I'm cool with that. But there will be order, and that will be brought within the college. This will be done. So, Maureen, I'll need you to act on this. Maureen, are you there? Maureen, I'll need you to act on this and let me know. We'll proceed with the class today, which is the legislative. So
Okay.
we are not trying.
Okay.
We're not trying to victimize you. We're not trying to bully you in college. But we're telling you that in this game and in this concept, whether you decide to run for office or you decide not to run for office, or you decide to be part of the political process, be it a party member, be it an appointee of government, you understand that when you brandish our certificate, you carry a character which is exhumed by all of us within the college. If a lot of admins who are also doing a lot of things, or people in the college doing a lot of things, still have time and still make time and put in their finances to ensure that you get this right, I think that it's only right that this character be displayed properly. The reason Nigeria is where it is, it's because a lot of us have mortgaged our responsibilities, and I don't think that should be done here. So I want Lisa also, I don't know whether Lisa is here, to take that into effect. So today's topic, the legislative. Now, I know that most of the time we're always interested, legislators. Most of us love the names they call legislators by: honorable, distinguished, and that's for senators. Honorable has quite a long line coming from councillors at the local government level who are also legislative. We go up to State House of Assembly, who are also legislative. And then we go up to the House of Reps. But when you get to the exclusive 109 that reside in the green chambers, they are known as distinguished. You have 360 members in the Federal House of Reps. Now, has anybody ever wondered how many members we have in State House of Assemblies? That's 36 put together. I'm sure this is a question that will rabble most people's minds. But trust me, the 36 states, probably maybe we'll make that an assignment somewhere down the line on the number of representatives State House of Assembly we have. Now, if it's to pick the number of councillors we have, Nigeria has approximately 8,126 wards, if I'm right. If it does that, and it means that you have that number of counts. But anyway, proceeding to the conversation today. So the legislative at the local level, which we've spoken about, are the councillors. At the state level, at State House of Assembly. And at the federal level, we run a bicameral legislature. A bicameral means two houses at the federal level, and that is the House of Rep, which is known as the state chambers, and then the senators, which are the green chambers, the upper house. Lower house is the House of Rep. Higher house is the Senate. So the National Assembly is Nigeria's legislative arm. That's NESS, is the Nigeria's legislative arm of government. One can rightly say that the sovereignty of the people resides in the legislature. Yes, that is because their basic concept is representation. We're going to go back into the basic principles of what democracy is. So from democracy, its basic translation, if you know, its basic definition is representation. And this was, of course, started with, and the Greeks believed that everybody, or then every house, should have a take the say in the system. And everybody has a say, and then they collectively decide what should happen for the society at large. And that's what has gone on or transcended or giving birth to the present legislature. And I'll be quick to add here, if you go through history, the only difference between monarchy and a democracy is now that the King's Council is now not a selected set of people. These are elected to represent a particular set of people. So it was kind of easy to choose monarchy because the basic concept of democracy didn't have the office of the president. If you check history, it just had a representative of the Speaker of the House. And if you're conversant and you read history a lot, you'll be conversant with Oga Julius Caesar. I'm calling him Oga or Mazi. I'm just trying to localize Julius Caesar. So they didn't have a king, president at the time. So I think it was a fusion between basic Greek democracy that's at its rough state, and then trying to mix up and the propagation this and understanding that one person had to hold a particular set of power, that in minutes with people that understood the monarchy, the office of the president was created. But well, that's just a history lesson while we're discussing this conversation. So there are basic things most people need to know about the National Assembly. So it's made of two chambers. I think I've said this already, Senate and the House of Rep, 109 elected members in the Senate and 360 in the House, and that makes 469 in total for the National Assembly, 469 members. However, the National Assembly is much more than that, and this presentation tries to explain the many facets and functions of this great institution. So now, the National Assembly. So the National Assembly is established by Section 4 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. It is vested with powers to make laws for peace and order and good governance of the Federation, with respect to matters in the exclusive legislative list. Now, some of the items in this list include arms, aviation, currency, drugs and poisons, mines and minerals, passports and visas, posts, telegraphs and phones, prisons, railways, ammunition, explosive, bankruptcy, banks, citizenship, copyright, patents, trademark, creation of states, custom and excise duties, defense and military, immigration, insurance, labor, trade or business names, power of the National Assembly, and the privileges and immunities of its members, regulation of political parties. Wow. Regulation of political parties. Oh, so the president doesn't control them. Gives the legislative quite a lot of power. And did anybody notice that there was arms there, meaning Nigeria cannot go to war because the president says so? Aviation. Okay, so even if they think of Nigerian air, it must be vetted by the National Assembly. Banks, citizenship, creation of states, defense and military. Now there's something that is also not here, which is also on this list, which is general communication online. And I know this will interest you. So let's kind of have a little brief discussion on what went on when Twitter was so-called banned. If you remember when former President Muhammadu Buhari came out and said he didn't ban Twitter. He kept saying this clearly, he didn't ban Twitter. That is because he's right. He didn't have the right to ban Twitter. To do that, you will need the National Assembly, full backing of National Assembly. And this is not just the National Assembly at federal level. When this is passed to ban Twitter, it must be accepted by 36 state House of Assembly down the line. So the key was that they suspended. And what gives the president that power is the ability to protect the country from a threat. That is an existential threat. The president has the powers to be able to go through that particular parameter and say, okay, if this is an existential threat to our system as a government or to the Nigerian Federation, then we can say, clearly that this could be put on hold. So they suspended and not banned Twitter. Nigerians commonly said, ban Twitter, ban Twitter, ban Twitter. So I'm just showing you how powerful the National Assembly is. So think of anything. So as much as you want to drag Hadi Sirika on issues of the Nigerian air, not National Assembly, whatever was done was approved because it's on the exclusive list for the National Assembly. So National Assembly in focus, that we move on so that we don't get translation. So of course there are different structures within the National Assembly. So we're going to start with of course, the higher house, which is the Senate. So you have Senate President, who right now is Godswill Akpabio from Akwa Ibom. We have the Deputy Senate President. We have the Majority Leader. We have the Deputy Majority Leader. We have the Chief Whip. We have anyway, yeah, we will define it downstairs, so there's no need to. We have the Deputy Minority Leader. We have the Deputy Minority Leader. We have the Minority Leader. We have the Deputy Minority Leader. Now, in the lower house, which is the House of Representatives, we have the Speaker. We have the Deputy Speaker. We have the Majority Leader. We have the all other posts aligned, just apart from the name change at the top. Now, President and Speaker, of course, the presiding officer in the Senate or in the House of Rep, but now the Senate President is the chairman of the National Assembly. The Deputy Senate President and Deputy Speaker carry out the functions of the Senate President or Speaker in his or her absence. Note that these functions are conventionally carried out by the Deputy Senate President or Deputy Speaker. For instance, he or she chairs the Constitution Review Committee of the Senate or of the House of Rep. Majority Leader is the leader of the House elected by members of the majority party. His or her role includes serving as spokesman for the majority, leading the business of the House and managing legislative schedule and liaising with various committee chairmen. The Chief Whip is elected to maintain the order and decorum of the House and also the discipline among members of the majority. The minority, and same with, of course, as regards House of Rep. And the Minority Leader is elected by members of the minority party, and his or her role is to represent the interests and maintain discipline among those set of members of the House. Now, this is quite clear, quite transparent. Everybody has the PowerPoint, so we'll just move on to the next page. This is quite simple. I doubt if there are questions. Now, most of the time, we've heard the word plenary sessions. So the National Assembly conducts most of its legislative business through daily sittings and plenary sessions and committee meetings. National Assembly plenary sessions are stipulated in Section 63 of the Constitution, which provides that the life of the National Assembly is 4 years. Plenary session refers to the day, period, or time in which a legislature formally assembles for the purpose of lawmaking. A session must consist of not less than 181 days within the legislative years. Ouch! Now, the Ninth Assembly, which was the last set of people in the House, didn't meet up this constitutional requirement. Well, it wasn't flagged by Nigerians. You want to know why? Because most of us basically don't know. And even when some CSOs picked it up and some people started making noise about it, we didn't care about it. But this is totally an infringement on the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Because they didn't, it's like saying, I pay you to come to office for 25 days in a month, and you chose to come to office 15 days and you collected your salary and bill. So wherever you see someone who served in the Ninth Assembly, please tell them they're still owing us some sessions. I don't know if you're able to tell them, but that's the truth. Previous assemblies since 1999 have observed Tuesday to Thursdays at 15 days. Now, sittings are meetings or hearing periods of the Legislative Assembly within a session or a legislative year. This there is no constitutional provision for daily sittings. Therefore, it is up to each house to decide what works for it. So previous assembly since 1999 have been observed Tuesday and Thursdays. Recess refers to longer breaks of the house at the end of the session. This is distinct from the usual adjournment of plenary sitting. So when they are sitting down in the plenary and they say this has been adjourned, it is to the next sitting. Maybe it's a Thursday, it's adjourned to a Tuesday, or it's a Tuesday, it's adjourned to a Thursday. They sit down Tuesday and Thursday. But when they now take recess, they take about a given set of time, be 1 month, 2 months, but whatever, they must still meet the 181 sittings required by the Constitution within a legislative year. Now, the powers of the legislators. Legislators enjoy certain powers, privileges, and immunities. Legislative powers can be defined as constitutional powers bestowed on the legislative arm of government. These powers could be expressed, implied, or assumed. Express powers as stated in the Constitution include the power over public funds, which of course is referred to mostly as oversight. The power to alter the Constitution, which of course is making an amendment of laws. The power to ratify treaties, power of oversight of the executive, the same thing, public funds under that. Note that the Constitution empowers the legislature to create rules regarding its internal affairs, meaning that the National Assembly is law unto itself. Meaning, if you assume a National Assembly rubber stamp, it is because they have refused to exercise the powers availed to them by the Constitution. The president is not more powerful than the legislature. The legislature is actually the most powerful arm of government. Do they choose to use it in Nigeria? That is another question. So what we're teaching here, what is, not the culture of what has become. So there's a basis of existence of rules and standing orders that guide chamber proceedings in the Senate and House of Representatives, respectively. Anything that I'm saying here, just imagine I'm talking federally, but when you come down to a state, it's the same. When you come down to a local government, it's the same. So we're focusing on the federal because, you know, they are more, it's broader. You can't separate. If you come down to basic, we do a legislative at local level, you won't get it. So you can downgrade whatever position. So like power of oversight over the executive in this place, in a state will now mean power over the governor and deputy governor and ministers and commissioners and etc. In the local government means local government chairman, secretaries, etc. I hope everybody's following as we are going. So now legislative communities. Now in the exercise of functions, National Assembly often works, in smaller units known as committees. So a committee is a unit within a legislative chamber that allows a group of legislators to review policies, propose bills, and report back to the chamber. If you notice, there's always a struggle to head committees. If you're good with the Senate president, you probably get oil and gas, NDDC, communication. Enjoyed, Melai in the 8th Assembly enjoyed communication. Well, very small thing, MTN this, MTN that. Just start running on like chickens. Yes, TV this, yes, TV that. They were very interesting committees. And you could have really juicy committees. But now, well, somebody's got to head marine and blue economy now. And some people get to head pilgrims boards. That's not so juicy a committee. Okay, apart from when pilgrims are traveling and Nigeria is offering them dollars at a very low rate, then you can do an undoing. So one central theme is that committees are created for the purpose of satisfying the need for specialization and division of labor in lawmaking. Towards this end, most committees in the National Assembly are created in line with the existing mandates of ministries, departments, agencies in government. The functions of committees are clearly spelled out in the Constitution and in the rules of each house. Some general functions of committees include initiation and consideration of bills, oversight of the executive, and constituency representation. Whether these are met or not, it's not the conversation, but they are met. Now, I'm sure you guys wonder why, as we're talking about the legislative, we're sticking strictly to the script. That's because the legislative deals with law and its basic function and its basic operation all roots from law. So it's not something where you can just say, okay, we're talking about legislative today. Although you can run some points by your head, but you're not going to say, okay, we're talking about legislative today. Okay, legislative XXXY, but no, we have to really understand on what basis some powers which it has are drawn from. So the types of committees, you have the standing committees, which are permanent committees that aid the National Assembly with their day-to-day functions. Examples include the Committee on Rules and Business and Committee on Appropriations. Wow, appropriations is sweet to before anything that has been budgeted for passes through. If you are here, ministers will give you. You know how it is now. No, it's not only in Nigeria or anywhere in the world. And appropriations, man, you're running things. Defense contractors. Oh, that's lovely. Special committees, which are permanent committees established by the rules of the House and Senate, with clear terms of reference to perform specialized functions beyond that of standing committees. An example is the Committee on Selection, which selects and nominates members to various standing committees. The committees, of course, which are committees created as a matter of urgency to deal with pressing or specific issues. An example of the ad hoc committee is on the review of constitution. Another ad hoc committee will be on fuel subsidy and its effects and palliatives, and a very, very wise 10th Assembly decided that they would propose a bill tagged Let the Poor Breathe. Well, we'll not dwell on things, hurtful things the Senate has done to the National Assembly has done to us. So there's the joint committees, which are a combination of 2 or 3 similar committees from 2 chambers or from 1 chamber, dependent. The aim of the joint committee is to examine a subject matter that falls within their jurisdiction. There is also the committee of whole, and this happens when the entire membership of a chamber forms a committee that is chaired by its presiding officer to consider a bill or a matter of concern. There's the conference committee, and this is a committee consisting of members of the Senate and House who converge with the aim of harmonizing differences on a bill that has been passed by both houses. So sometimes you have a bill that has been passed by the Senate, that has also been given to the House of Rep for ratification, and the House of Rep wants to make 1 or 2 changes along the line. So what happens is the changes the House of Rep wants to make, and they sit down together and they run agreement so that they form a uniform, they have a uniform bill in one place. Now note, committees are powered by secretariat, which are headed by clerks and other committee staff. To further support the work of committees, legislators often hire personal staff and legislative aides to assist them. Wow, I know everybody wants to be a legislative aide. Most of the time, we find our people in National Assembly are appointing their brothers, their cousins, etc. People who have no idea on legislation or how to write legislation or what to do within the system. Well, Nigeria would of course survive. So the roles of the National Assembly: making law pertaining to issues affecting public interest, representing the opinions and interests of citizens and the nation as a whole, and overseeing government ministries, departments, and agencies. I feel this is very straightforward. You can proceed to the next slide. So the process. Now, the various stages a bill passes through to become law. I'm sure a lot of you have wondered about this. So bills usually pass through the following stages in each house or chamber. So there's the presentation and the first reading, which is where, let's say, for instance, Senator Charlie Akambu decides representing Just North, or whichever one you're from, Just Central, decides to present a bill to the House. And she presents it and reads it for the first time. So there's the judge whether the House takes a vote on whether it should proceed, whether it's a sensible bill or not, and then the ayes and the ayes. I don't know why we still use ayes and ayes in the National Assembly, because preceding the 8th Assembly, we had installed remote markers which will allow you to vote. The problem is that instead of being drowned in the ayes and nays, with these remote systems, you will know, like America, you know what the senator for Illinois voted. You know what the senator for Jigawa North Central voted. You know what the senator for Osun central voted. And I think they just want to do A's and A's. So they can say, I voted the other way. There's people that shouted it and covered, which is not accountability by the National Assembly. But we proceed. There's also the second reading, which of course it goes through, and then it's being decided on again whether to proceed forward. Then there's the committee stage where it sits down with the committee over that jurisdiction, in which they run things across it and see whether it makes sense as a bill or not. Then there's third reading and passage, and then final assent, which is the president's signature when it's ordered by it's transmitted by the National Assembly to the president. And we all know he has 90 days to attend to this. You still remember the drama around the Electoral Act and him signing it on the final, almost the final day, in which now constitutional amendments. Now, if 2/3 of the chamber pass the bill without amendments or differences, it is transmitted to the state houses. So 2/3 of each chamber, that's of the Senate, which is about 109. So 2/3 of that should be 60 something. Maths is then 360. 2/3 of that is 240, I believe. Yeah. So you should be able to, once that's passed by those two, it's transmitted to the State House of Assemblies for concurrence. However, if an amendment occurs at either of the chambers, a conference committee will be set up, as we explained earlier, to harmonize differences on the bill before sending it to states for concurrence. Note that if both houses are not able to harmonize position, the bill will be returned to respective chambers for fresh voting. That's to say, if both of them see it differently, it has to go back to the House to get passed and then come back. At the State Assembly level, a simple majority vote of approval of each clause by 2/3 of the states is required for each amendment to come into effect. This is 24 of Nigeria's 36 states. If we remember with the case of local government autonomy, it's like very educated states like Lagos decided to say no to it, and a few others. But anyway, not up to 24 voted in support of it. Now, challenges of passing bills. The National Assembly has often struggled with passing of bills times without number, of course, with some crucial bills failing to pass before the end of the life of an assembly. The Ninth Assembly was able to pass close to 500 bills, but it still has pending about, I think, 100 and something or 200. I'm not sure of the exact number. And, even the Student Loans Board, which was from the Ninth Assembly, and got into the 10th Assembly and was assented by the president at the time. So some of the contributing factors, the large number of pending bills in the National Assembly, apart from the lack of political will to make legislation, include poor coordination and synergy between the chambers that often leaves a bill passed in one chamber and not passed or concurred by the other chamber. Now, oversight. To improve the efficiency, economy, that's why we have oversight on the executive. To improve the efficiency, economy, and effectiveness of government operations. That's oversight on, now to explain oversight generally, we all understand that oversight is on the executive. So that's movements. We've spoken about the appointed executive and the elected executive. I don't think we should drum over that. So it's it and its agencies that oversight is then to detect and prevent poor administration, waste and abuse, arbitrariness, or illegal and unconstitutional conduct. To ensure compliance with law, to protect citizens' rights, to ensure executive policies reflect public interest, to gather information to be used in informing or educating the public, and to evaluate execution and performance of the national budget. Wow. Quite a lot of things. I know that if we start to break this one, we'll start to say, detect or prevent poor administration in agencies or in ministries, everybody will have a long conversation. If we say to detect or prevent waste, another longer. Abuse, arbitrariness, or illegal and unconstitutional conduct, which has been displayed by the executive, even in this present government, like with the arrest of the former CBN governor, although it's like the reasons of his arrest were not clearly defined. Now, next will also be the former EFCC boss, who is also under detention for no justifiable cause. So there are a lot of things: protect citizens' rights, ensure executive policies reflect public interest. Now, have most executive policies reflected public interest? question. So if the president passes something and the Senate feels it doesn't reflect public interest, they can recall that particular position. But we rarely see it done. Just we are with the president, Mr. President. You know how it is now. To gather information to be used in informing or educating the public. Let's not discuss that part. And to evaluate execution and performance of the national budget. Now, this looks like the National Assembly is very key or top game on this. They're key about the budget because they know when they pass it, money going to say. The committees that are in charge of some agencies will get to breathe, let's put it properly. So it's not like they love the budget because they know that the money is coming to you. They love it because there are things that trickle down to them within the system and constituency projects. So there are challenges to passing bills, which has always been a problem. So we're going to look over them. So National Assembly has of course struggled with the passage of bills. So now we're going to look, first and foremost, the biggest one, and some of the contributing factors of, I don't want to read this whole thing. Let's just get to the challenges of passing bills. So you guys have access to read it. So narrow content of bills. Most of the kind of bills that are being proposed are I would not use the word docile or incomplete, but they are unworthy to become law because they aren't streamlined to cover the whole perspective. They are normally things, okay, we want to stop them, we want to stop people. Let me think of something simple. Okay, we want to stop SMEs from registering anyhow. Okay, any SME less than 5 years old must go back, older than 10 years old must go back and register. No, it's not clear. You understand? You have to define if a company is paying social taxes and paying social dividends back and registered with the government at various levels, it must be allowed to thrive. If in this case this is missing, it has only paid taxes and not completed its registration into its shareholding within the CAC, it should upgrade its subscription of shares. It is given 120 days to do this or face delisting. Now that's how bills should go. But in Nigeria, now they'll just want to pick on this, throw bill, not too much brain work. So, and I also know of a problem which is massive with the Senate. So when you're working with bills in Nigeria, I'll give you an example. Has any one of you read the petroleum PIB bill? Trust me, it's 90-something pages. That's why it took so long to pass it. But by the time you read the 90-something pages, you're going to find out one critical thing. That maybe like 5 pages could be put into one paragraph. And that cumbersome nature of going through 90-something pages takes the House quite a long time, and I'll blame this on poor draft. Now there's policy duplicity, which is most of the time, most people in the National Assembly have not read the Constitution. No offense, I'm not having anybody, but it's basic truth. They haven't read the Constitution. So once in a while, they think up something and present it to the House, which is already basically provided by the Constitution. So it gets thrown out. And they come back and do the same thing the next day. Well, when you hire slay queens and your brother into legislative aid because you want to keep the money in the family of your side chick and your relative, that's what happens. I didn't say, please, I cannot be held liable. I'm just giving this thing. I didn't say they have slay queens. Neither did I say this to hire brothers. I'm just giving context. I'm making the class interesting. Let's put it that way. So inadequate or delayed legislative scrutiny. Now, most of the time, like you can imagine, the 10th Senate, 10th National 10th Assembly now, they have about close to 200 bills, or over 200, a little over 200, I'm not sure of the number, that are pending from the 9th Assembly, and they've gone on recess. This is time they could have used before even presenting their own bills to deal with the matters of the last assembly. But they've gone on recess. When they come back, they'll still meet what they went on recess and left. It's waiting for them. So this delays and issues, and before you know it now, maybe senators and the House of Rep want to go and support their gubernatorial candidates in Imo, Bayelsa, and Kogi. That's another break again. Which should not be, because what the hell? It's not done anywhere in the world. But they will say they are showing solidarity to their governors and etc. And the rest of us suffer for it. Other challenges, of course, are sponsoring bills on the floor of the representation, of course, involves the first and foremost thing, sponsoring bills on the floor of the House. If your representative slide, oh, and you know Nigeria, have a young representative. We have a young representative in our constituency. Bill sponsored 0. We have a mommy. She knows politics. She has been in the House for 14 years. Bill sponsored 0. This man is an astute grass politician. In Aba, everybody knows him. He buys jam form for people. Sponsored bills 0. You do not have a representative, in simple terms. It's also the duty of those in the National Assembly to set up constituency house offices to facilitate public access. If I have to take a present ratio of common sense senator in Bayelsa, his constituency house, I'm surprised they didn't find a dinosaur there. It was so overgrown with weed. I remember it became a public spectacle when he was serving as a senator. If you don't know common sense senator, I'm referring to Senator Ben Murray Bruce. And you have so many of them across board in that way. So it is mandatory, all that money they are paying them, it is mandatory to have a constituency office. It is mandatory. It is part of what it means. Regular visits to constituencies. Now, why I disagree with this is simple. In other climes, and we don't need to say US, Ghana, Rwanda, any other place, nobody puts houses or gives houses to their National Assembly in the center. You come, do your business, it's part of the money they're paying you. Come, do your business in the house, and you go back to your people. You sit down. If you sit down in Abuja 24/7, chilling, AC, street lights, shaking Wiki up and down, who's the new FCT minister, please tell me how you're going to understand what your people want. And Nigerians don't ever think about this. We just, hey, it's representing us. Are you normal? So all of you pack. Have you been? And I used to live in legislative quarters. Don't mind me, I was trying to kill a little fly. So I used to live in legislative quarters in Abuja. And if you wake up, that's when legislators used to live there. Oh, they don't live there now. Now they're living in somewhere else. So when you wake up in the morning, we used to wake up very early in the morning out of the stubborn. Legislator has cars that have come from different places, school fees, or broken leg, or the one that is like no break, or everything, they're there. A legislator cannot leave his house till about 11. He has to vex and leave the house. Number of people that are there outside the house in his constituency. So whenever they say regular visits to constituency, I'm of the opinion, and please, if it's not Nigeria that is of the opinion, this Kunilawala is of the opinion that they should fly to Abuja, do their business, and go back home. What are you doing? How do you want to represent your people? How do you know what your people think about fuel subsidy if you're sitting down in Abuja? I'm not saying that it can't be done by text or whatever, but no, you are more accountable to the people when you live around them. You don't go and live in Abuja like you're the president. You're not the president. Your work is to. But people might disagree with me that it's allowed. I'm just saying that's my own position. So meetings with interest groups in order to stay engaged with various issues of concern. I think the only groups they meet with let's say they belong to one particular group in the church, or they are old school ministers, or some set of holy fathers from the mosque that come to visit them, etc., 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 across board. Those are the interest groups they meet with. Or, as usual, the youth of their party, the women of their party, the women of their ward, the list goes on. And those are interest groups. Now, presenting petitions in the National Assembly on behalf of constituents to ensure their grievances are addressed. Now, I, Kunle Law, can write a bill, but the Constitution of Nigeria allows me to write the bill, but does not allow me to present it to the House. So I can present it to my rep and say, Oga, see what I've written, and say, good. This counts for me. And then he will go and present it. Yeah, it counts for him. It will be acknowledged that it was written by a private citizen, but it will count for him for presenting it in the House. But because our legislators are, I don't know, I don't want to say wrong things, but anyway, we know who they are. So your grievances are not addressed. Like, of course, there's a House of Rep and a Senator under which jurisdiction Apapa is. And they're always gridlocked every day. Why can't you sit down and say, okay, this should be done, this should be done, and your constituents sit down with you and discuss this matter. It's within your constituency. But where would you see your senator? Where would you see your House of Rep? So they also, representation demands seeking public consultations and input on a bill. Wow. Hey, Senator and House of Rep seek Adeshola's input on a bill. Adeshola, do you know your senator? Do you know your senator? Do you know him? Can you call him?
No, I can't.
Okay, I was reading this and laughing now. Seeking public consultations and input on a bill, not possible, but it is a requisite. Soliciting, of course, that's keeping in touch with community leaders. There's only election days to do that part. That part is only for re-election and primaries. Apart from that, they don't know this. That one does not exist. Meet them in Abuja. They are creating awareness and disseminating relevant information to constituents. The idea is TV not working. The radio not working. But I'm just, like I said, these are demands. But then actively participating in the budget process and ensuring that there's room for constituents to also participate in monitoring of local projects. Local projects are not even done. So I'll give you an example. I think sometime in Delta State, in the 9th Assembly, a company was being given, I think, 40 million to supply plastic chairs. The company had its address of its office as the address of the constituency office of the senator in that Delta State that gave out that contract. Can you imagine how amazing that is? And meanwhile, within their function, let's participate in the budget process and ensure there's room for constituents to participate through monitoring. But yet, constituencies and the office of the so-called business that purchased these chairs, which were not purchased in 40 million plastic chairs, were the same. We move on. Actively engaging the media and civil society groups. Well, we know that it's there. We can demand it from them, but we will not say the existence. So now we'll go to the subject of the most important part, which I wish the people knew. Now, you can recall, which is your power. They represent you, and they're the only legislative offices are the only offices where the people do not need an election to pull them back. So note that constituents, note that if constituents feel that they are poorly represented or have lost the confidence in the abilities of legislators, they may recall them. A recall is a procedure in which voters can remove an elected member of an area council, state house of assembly, national assembly from office. Section 69 and 110 of the Constitution empowers more than one half of registered voters in the affected constituency to sign a petition and present to the chairman of INEC stating their grievances. 1/2 here means if they are 20,000 registered voters in the constituency that presented the senator. To recall him, you need 10,001 signatures and PVC numbers to recall him. We are still debating this matter that should be brought down because it's too high up. Following this, INEC will be required to conduct a referendum in that constituency within 90 days to decide the legislator's fate. The referendum is to look and ensure that these numbers are correct, the signatures and PVC numbers are correct. However, before this, INEC must adhere to the following administrative checks. Ensure that the petition for recall is signed, recall presented is signed and arranged according to polling units, votes, LGAs, and constituencies. Cross-check the signatures that appear on the voters' register. Notify not to be recalled, stating the receipt of the petition of his or her recall. Now, I remember that there was one we attempted in Lagos State. Please, no, we attempted. I just helped guide some people attempted. And the moment the House informed her, we needed the State House of Assembly in Lagos, and we needed within the Amor Dauphin area, and we needed about 12,600 and something signatures. And when we reached 6,000, we had already submitted to INEC and said we were still complying. She went to constituency office every day. Once she finished from the house, she would go there every day, sit down and listen to people. We didn't end up recalling her, but she spent her entire tenure till she left in 2023, going to the constituency the constituency office every day. She didn't want to be the first. And she was not remotely targeted because of what she did, but she was remotely targeted because she was part of a system that had escaped the citizens' control, and she was the smallest in Lagos to pull out. So they looked over the Lagos numbers. So I need to stop using the word we. I just helped advise. Stop using the word we. Looked over the numbers. So you can recall them and you can scare them with the fear of God. Because once you recall them, they will not be allowed to run in an election. I think for a motion of how many seconds, but they're not allowed to run an election, which means they are gone for good. People have not decided to take such things. So issue a public notice and announcement stating the date, time, and location of the verification. Verify the signatures and petition where more than half, 50% plus one of the signatures are verified. The commission goes ahead to conduct a referendum. Referendum is a recall. It's a direct vote that determines the question or purpose of removing an elected member of an area council, state, or national assembly. If the number is verified, is less than 1/2 of that considered. The commission writes to the petitioner stating that the petition does not meet the bidding requirements and is therefore dismissed. It's noteworthy that the recall process is inapplicable to the governor, to the president, executive. They can only be impeached by 2/3 of the majority of the members of the House of Assembly or the National Assembly. Now, I'm sure most people have heard the word resolution by the House. The House has resolved. Edo State House of Assembly has resolved that the caretaker chairman are dissolved and new ones will be appointed. Yeah, I used to. Resolutions are prayers of motion prayers of emotion agreed by Legislative House. There are 3 types of resolutions, which are simple, concurrent, and joint resolutions. So simple resolutions are used to express the sentiments of the House or compel a committee to carry out an investigation, like we had on the Naira this thing before the end of last government. Concurrent resolutions are resolutions that are passed by both houses but do not require the agreement of the president. Wow. So you mean the National Assembly can take a decision superseding the president? These guys are powerful. It's just that we looked at them as a unit one. Together, they can do and undo. Joint resolutions are generally passed by both houses to give effect to constitutional provisions. Now, in conclusion, I'm leaving this statement. It is to law alone men get justice and liberty. As we crucify the legislative without holding them accountable, we have kissed away our freedoms. This statement is from Kunle Lawal. Thank you very much, everyone. And thank you for the time I've spent with you. And I look forward to questions coming up. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much. Wow, so much to take in. I'm still trying to process a couple of things that I heard. But thank you so much, Mr. Kunle Lawal, for very, very abridged. I saw that we were running, but yes, it was really good. Now we have questions. I see one hand, Atiba, Adediran, Solomon Emiola. I'm going to take questions now, and I'm going to ask you to indicate by raising up your hands, and then I'll start with you, Solomon. I'll ask you to unmute yourself. So you can go ahead with your question, please.
Wait, before the questions start, could I do something? So
Okay.
I think it is vested in me as the ED to commend one of the students in the cohort XII. Blessing in Jideka Obiaku. I don't know whether she lives inside the Zoom of the electoral college. Anytime we open the session, she's there. So I'd like to commend her for her massive attendance, and I'll say the college is watching. She's always there. Once I open the Zoom, this thing, she's there. So sometimes I'm like, is this girl walking inside? Is she walking inside the Zoom of the electoral college? Is that surprising? As in, I've never opened it and not seen her. If I don't see her, trust me, it will be a problem. We'll come and find you in your house. So I'd like to commend her for the great job she's doing. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, well done, Blessing. We see you. All right, Solomon, go ahead with your questions, please.
Good. I appreciate the opportunity given to us to be part of this. I just also bring your attention to this. If there is a way in which
I can't hear you. I can't hear you. You're kind of echoing. Aditiba, you're kind of echoing. I don't know whether you're too close to your mic or too far. I don't know which one it is. You're echoing. Yes, I can hear you this way.
Okay, this is my question this way, that based on the function.
You know what? I think you should take out your video. It might enhance your reception. So take out your video to enhance your reception. I can't hear anything saying. And for people that are saying they wished this was a recorded session, has any of you taken your time to go to the Electoral College YouTube page? On the Electoral College YouTube page is on your Telegram group. Every class that you've held, the videos are on YouTube. You see the sharing here, it's on YouTube. So you can just go to the YouTube page of the Electoral College. Remember to like it and then view it. You can always rewatch a class. You can go back, go forward, you can control me. So I don't know. The next question, because I think he should take off his video, which will enable that. Do we have any more questions? Or the class was that simplistic?
Well, it was interesting and engaging. I don't see any hands raised again. I'm trying to check the chat box. If I see any.
Peter Sebastian Zahu is trying to ask a question.
Okay, Peter Sebastian, would ask you to unmute now. Just go ahead.
Evening, everybody. Evening, Edie. Thank you for an enlightening.
I can barely. Can you increase your volume? Is it me or? Could you speak up?
Yes, his volume is low. His volume is low. Please increase the.
Am I clear now?
Yes, better.
Okay. Thank you. Good evening. Thank you, Edie. It has been a session. Well, actually, it's not a question I have. I just wanted to say how enlightened I am. Before I wanted to be an executive, but with the way this class has ended now, executive is not for me. Please,
It's not for you.
Legislative arm like this. No, because with how enlightened this class has been, we now see that those who are actually even the top players are those who are in the legislative. Although they don't tend to exercise their own power, but then they happen to be the main seed of the decision and everything that happens in the country. So thank you very much, ECN. I think that is where we'll be heading to next. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. And we will look forward to seeing you in the legislature and college. We will have the full support of the college. It's a pleasure that we're able to change your mind. Though that was not the objective of the class, though. But we're happy to.
Okay, I have unmuted Monday. Yahaya, go ahead with your question, please.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, your volume is
Monday.
low or you're talking low?
Hello, can you hear me?
Now we can hear you. Thank you very much, Monday.
Right. I want to appreciate you for this class. Now, quickly to my question. You know, the legislative arm of government has quite enormous powers that can be used for the good of the people. But oftentimes, the challenge we face with the legislative arm of government is the fact that the leadership of the legislative arm of government is largely determined by the executive. And so when they get on board, they don't tend to utilize their powers. Now, what measures can be taken, especially by the masses, to prevent the executive arm of government from determining the leadership of the legislative arm of government to ensure effective and efficient operation of the legislative arm of government?
Thank you very much, Monday. So let me start with this. Like I always say, the citizens tend to mortgage their responsibility. During COVID, we all had a laugh with put off your mic, off your mic. You understand? It was a joke over the NDDC scandal. And sitting there was your present Senate president, Godswill Akpabio. He was on the committee and part of those saying off your mic. Now he's your Senate president. So who made the mistake? The executive has never controlled the National Assembly. What has happened is that we have elected people that don't understand the power. And I've always said this clearly. I do not think a governor who is executive comes into the legislative and can make a good legislative. I've not seen it happen yet. It has never happened. I don't think it's ever going to happen. That's because their functions are totally different. I'm not saying there can't be people that would manage. There are people that will manage, but I do not believe that a governor will make a good legislative. I mean, we've seen ourselves carry people from governors and put them back there. So when you put people that don't even understand the power of the National Assembly and making headline laws of let the people breathe as a bill on a national scale, and he says his excuse was that he didn't know there were cameras in the National Assembly. See, I don't think about it because I feel like hitting my head on the wall. No, he's my in-law, but come on. So going back to everything, you asked the question critically. The people have undermined the National Assembly, ensure that the people that enter the National Assembly do not understand the laws, are people that do not understand the Constitution, are also people who do not even have an idea, apart from being called distinguished and honorable, of what the job entails. And we elect them into such positions, and then we later wonder why the executive has the power. Trust me, I wouldn't say Kunila. I'm too stubborn. If you had 45 people that understood the legislature the way I do in the Senate, the president won't be able to sleep at night. And if you doubt what I'm saying, to make a good democracy, the legislative must kind of be at loggerheads with the executive. Not fight, but they must compete at each other. Go and check Obasanjo's regime, which is we tag our best time in democracy. Senate presidents it was remaining for them to wear boxing gloves and start doing it, which is crazy. From Chuba Evans to Chuba or Kadibo, it was a match made in heaven. We saw the best ideas of governance. The president couldn't just take actions. you must consult with. And these were people that understood what it was to be in the National Assembly. Now we have lollipop sellers, we have what they call it, briefcase carriers of the executive, and you expect that's the strongest arm. How can you even elect someone who doesn't know the Constitution? How can you even elect somebody that ran for a race without proposing a bill to you? What kind of bill was he going to put in the office? Just tell you, I'm going to give you road. Really? Even when we are aware that constituency projects are not constitutional? I don't get it. So if citizens that are deciding to say it's the executive, I beg, if you're executive and the citizens don't have sense and you can control the legislative, I beg, you pay my government, I beg. No be waiting once, I beg, I want to relax. You want me to be running having headache because of a very smart legislative. I beg. Let the executive breathe. Leave it at that. So I'll go on to the next question. Omojewe, I believe.
I've asked you to unmute yourself, Omo.
Hello.
Good day,
We can hear
Omojewe.
you.
Okay.
Good day, Omojewe.
Question, sir.
I'm listening. Omojewe, I can't hear you.
Omo, if you're speaking, we can't hear you.
Omojewe, are you there?
Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you. Omojewe, you're not
Oh,
saying
good
anything.
evening.
Good evening,
Sorry,
Omojewe.
it
How are you?
was my phone. Yes, sir. Please, it's just an appreciation for this wonderful program, this class that we're attending. We want to dearly appreciate it. We know because most time when we don't pay, we don't value it, but dearly, most of us still value it. And we want to dearly, on behalf of my party, we want to appreciate the Electoral College for this opportunity to have knowledge, because most of this, like what you said today, most of the things we don't know, and that is the truth. Most of the things you have even saying about the legislature, we don't know. I think that's one of the challenges I believe our country is facing now, because most of the people that are there, they don't know it. So I want to say thank you, sir, for this opportunity, and we don't take it for granted, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much. And Omojewe, to show that I'm not a dictator, is Maureen still there? Is Maureen still there? Anyway, I will.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
Okay, Maureen, I decided to be calm because of what Omojewe said. I'll put a stay on execution. Do not dissolve any party based on attendance. I listen.
Okay.
Thank you very much. That's one.
Okay, we have 2 more hands and some questions in the chat box. Mr. Solomon, haven't you spoken before? Okay, let me see. Okay, let me. All right.
Okay.
What's your question?
Thank you, sir. My question is this. Sorry for the network breach. This is my question. It goes this way. Remember the case of custom that was brought to the Ninth Assembly, reading in broad daylight, presented by a senator from Oyo State, South Senatorial District. Having been all the media, this thing, at the end of the day, everything went under the carpet. Is there a way that the victim can still remobilize or to record the process again to get the justice, to get the position of the house on that? 2, there was a case, a case brought before the legislature also. It was a case between a lecturer, a professor at University of Ibadan, in which the university was sacked illegally, and they compelled the university to reinstate the so-called person. Till today, nothing has been done. Does it mean that the National Assembly doesn't have the power to give order on the on institutions being created by law, in which they are also part of those who make the law. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So in the two systems which you've mentioned, the flaw is this. Probably these two issues crossed the timeline, which is 4 years for the particular matter. And when those people left the house, because of our poor continuity, it's the same with the executive. When another governor comes in, they'll throw everything that the last governor had and then start from scratch. That's the same thing that will happen. So if those two situations want to be rectified, the only way to achieve this will be to reinstate or to rebuild the case again in this assembly and show the patterns of where exactly it was and what the decisions were, and then try to push forward for this National Assembly to act. It's not supposed to be an error, because there's supposed to be handover notes, from one assembly to another. The question is whether they read it. These are people that do not even know what's happening in the newspaper in Nigeria or what's happening on the ground, talk less of reading handover notes, which are complex legislation or legislation about as you can see, they have, after collecting 72 billion of your money, they have gone on recess, and they even took extra amount for recess package. Some hotels outside Nigeria will have fun. Anyway, thank you very much for that question. Move to the next one. Vincent, if I'm right. I don't know where Adeshola is.
Yes, I've asked you to mute, sir.
You didn't say anything.
I've asked him to mute. Go ahead, Vincent.
Okay, if Vincent's taking our time, he keeps what? He keeps what?
I'm muting on.
I've unmuted him. I think I have superior rights. I've unmuted him. Vincent, go ahead.
Okay. All right.
Vincent, are you there? You said what?
The audio is low.
Okay.
You know what? Vincent, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, Vincent, we're waiting for your question. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. It is actually an eye-opener concerning the fact that we can hold legislative arm to account. I think in a practical way, it seems like both the legislative members and then the masses are both not aware of their functions. Now, I want you to make an elaborate explanation concerning how we can hold them to account. That is, if they are underperforming, what are the ways that the masses could go to either put them to their feet or make the people know that they are not actually representing the masses?
Okay. I noticed the question on the timeline. I'll still come to your question. And it was, how come it's called the 10th Assembly? And this is Noye. How come it's called the 10th Assembly when there's been 6 administrations since 1999? Noye, democracy didn't start in Nigeria in 1999. We just entered the 4th Republic. So there's the first, which had 1, 60 to 66. I believe there was another short one, brief, before the Civil War, making 2. Then you come to 1979, Shagari, which you had 3. Shagari continued for another term, which we had 4. And then Buhari took over harshly. And then we came to 6 administrations of the national, 6 administrations since 1999. So let's count 19. So we had 4 at that point, 99 to 2003. 2003 to 2007, 6. Am I right? 2000. Anyway, you get the calculation. 2003 to 2007. Sorry, 6, and then 2007 to 2011, 7. 2011 to 2015, 8. 2015 to 2019, 9. No, I counted 1 too much. Anyway, I counted the 6 before. Before the 6 in this present time. Can an executive order counter a legislative order? No. Now, Vincent, to your question, I've shown you, you can recall. You can write to your senator. You can disturb them on social media. You can disturb them writing to their office. Those are the ways you can hold them accountable. And there are no other ways. I pointed this out across the board. So, Noya, I hope you are also clear with your, since you typed your question, I hope you are clear with your answer now that you've understood why this is called the 10th Assembly. You can just type that back. So Ziba Kogi is saying that can an executive order counter a legislative law? It's not possible. Totally not possible. Do you understand? An executive order even has to be passed to the National Assembly, of which the National Assembly has the right somewhere along the line to throw out an executive order if they feel it does not match what the people need. So I hope I've answered the questions. Anyway, the questions I can see. I've answered the questions I can see at this point. So I think we can unmute Ofo Cletus right now. Wait, I want to ask a question. Are you trying to say that we can have a class where a female does not ask a question? We're very gender sensitive here. And later, when the women don't ask the question, we'll say the men have kicked us out of politics. Nobody kicked you out of politics, so you're the one kicking yourself out of politics. Let me make it clear. I'm not that gender guy that is say no, you have to pet. Hustle. Everybody must hustle. So I'd love to see you. No, I'd love to see, because if you not true now, they should hustle now. Just men talking. Later when they ask them, so come and run for office, give us free form. You give you free form. You don't know how to win primaries. Later you fall olule. Then next thing you start complaining that we're doing you alien things. Anyway, Enioche, over to you.
Yes, I've unmuted him. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, thank you for the elaborate lecture. It's so interesting, an eye opener in all directions. I want to thank you. Well, especially on behalf of SDP, we are grateful for this.
People have started party toasting. I'm enjoying this. No, I like what you're doing. It's impressive.
Yeah,
that's what we're teaching you to do.
It's a good one. And somebody confessed that, do I say you've lured some of us to look in this direction of legislative more now?
And that's why people will see me for a while in your trade. I don't think I'm taking you for quite a while. You see me enough. So let other people lure you in different directions. You see me.
Then it's a good one, really. And well, it's more of commending you for the job well done. But let me add this, that the system, it's not as if most of us are not aware of even how to recall the processes as you've highlighted. But for the country being what it is and the system for being what it is, sometimes the people that will emerge as our legislators have people that have more influence. They may not even be legislators themselves. For instance, in a state, you hear a governor says he's the one to produce all the legislators. So if you face the legislator, it's like you are fighting the governor of the state.
I have one question. So I have one question. How many votes does the governor have?
One.
How many do the people of the state have?
There are many, but
no. So if you follow what your governor says, it's you that is choosing. You can outvote a governor, can't you? You can also choose not to follow. Let me tell you, no president in Nigerian history has ever won Aso Rock polling units till today. I remember when Obasanjo lost it in 2003, he was furious. He fired essays, fired people. They still lost it in 2007. They still lost it in 2011. They still lost it in 2015. They still lost it in 2019. Then they lost, and they've always been losing Abuja. Not only losing the polling unit, they've also been losing. Every president incumbent has always lost Abuja to the opposition. It's a tradition. So are you trying to tell me that if Abuja stands up and says this is how they want to do things, and okay, we don't have a governor, but if the people stand up and say we don't want this person, the governor has the power to, you've given. Let me tell you something. The biggest problem of democracy in Nigeria has never, ever, ever, and mark me, I'm saying this, you can take it to the bank anywhere, has never, ever been the president. You see those 36 pseudo demi banje people that you people call executive governors. God deliver you from them. That's the only thing I can say, because they are the heights of total abuse of power. Kidnap the state legislature, kidnap the local government. The other day, His Excellency Eleyi in Ogun State, no offense, but the matter pisses me off. His Excellency in Ogun State, because the local government chairman refused to give him his federal allocation, the other local government chairman came to bow down to him in his office. And he had the audacity, because he's backed by immunity, to write a letter from his official house, from his official listing, to the local government chairman, ask through the interministerial commissioner, asking with account number for the money of FAC allocation given to the local government. What kind of insolence is that? And people will sit down in Ogun State and they will tell me there are professors there. Nonsense. Professors that didn't go to, I went to school, but school didn't pass through them. No offense, so if you are from Ogun State, I'm not having you, but it is heart-wrenching to those of us that fight for governance in this country. I'm not an activist. You can even call me activist, me and you fight. But that is total abuse of the separations of powers. But here's the funny thing that happens. When he wants to take action against the local government chairman, he calls on the councillors, and the councillors suspend the local government chairman. Oh, so that can work. When we tell you people these things, it looks like it's practical. Couldn't they just they talk about government without, it can't happen. This week, we saw it happen. The councillors suspended the local government chairman. They have the power. They suspended him. They used it for what exactly they want to use it for. So this system, which means that we have a system that works. There's no council, that's set of council, a sitting council of councillors that cannot suspend the local government chairman. They can do it. They don't need ratification from anybody. State House of Assembly, nothing. But it was not used till His Excellency Eleyi wanted to collect FAC money. What is it that you chasing 60-something million for? Yeah, you have already kidnapped over half of it, 130-something million, and then you say you give it back to the governors for them to give it back to the local government chairman that have to give it back to you. I don't want to discuss this matter. See, this thing, see, it makes me lose my decorum a little bit, because it's rubbish.
Well, thank you for throwing more light on it. And obviously, you are somebody who is abreast with the happenings of the country. So thank you, and I appreciate you for your job well done.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, sir. And please do not allow the Donald Trumps of state continue to control you. They don't have as much power as you think they have. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. All right, so there's some questions. Someone asked that, can the legislators be sued for their utterances or actions whilst
yes.
in National
Yes.
Assembly?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, then someone else asked that what should be the profile of a typical legislator so that voters know who would likely represent them well. So is there a look or a profile that voters should look out for once they're voting for their representatives? That was a question.
We all know the person should not look like Adams Oshimoli, but sorry, that was just a stray bullet. I just felt like saying it. It was too interesting for me not to say. But the truth is, no offense, but the truth is, let's look at it this way. Don't mind me, I'm in a playful mood today. So the truth is, you must first understand, does the person understand the Constitution? Is the person talking about bills he wants to propose that would suit the thing? Next, his charisma. Does the person put his Now, there's something they always say, the arrogance of politicians. Yes, politicians are naturally arrogant. I am arrogant. But that arrogance must be backed by knowledge. When it's not backed by knowledge, in short, you can as well be Jaguar, because that's how you look. Jaguar too is arrogant, but as we used to watch the Jaguar, I'm talking to a very much younger generation. I don't know who the comedian in your age is, but anyway, you get so you need someone with knowledge, someone who remains close to the people. Yeah, a lot of them promise that they're going to be close to you people, but check it out now. Omo, does he walk around with security? Is he always covering himself? I believe this, that if anybody wants to run for office and needs security to walk around these people, you can as well tell from the beginning that he doesn't love you guys. And I'll tell you why. If I didn't leave it, I won't ask it. So at my own level, I ran for Senate. Abuja has only one senator. I'm entitled to 2 mobile policemen while running for office. You can ask anybody that knew me while running for office. I walked around the people. I walked without security. I turned down the two mobile policemen that are attached to me. Yeah, my life was attempted. Yes, I'll add that part. But I'm still here with the Electoral College. The tag of my campaign was just like you, and I walked around people. If I didn't believe that I needed to be protected against the people that I was planning to represent. And anybody in this cohort that tells my wife what I just said, I will slaughter. So back to what I was saying. Generally, if someone is protecting himself, it's not protecting himself from anybody that is trying to attack him. It's protecting himself from the crimes he's about to commit with you. That's my own position about it.
Okay. I had some personal questions, but this question, what's the procedure for removing a local but that's the same. Okay, it's the same thing that Edie had said earlier. So we mentioned that what applies to the federal legislative applies to the state, and then down to.
I've said that already. I've said that now. I've said that already.
Okay. All right. So Edie, I was saying that I have a question.
You are who?
Can I? Wait,
I'm not allowed to ask me a question.
No, please let me ask, because it was for what you said in the past. Okay, so going back to something you mentioned at the introduction of your session today about the 9th Assembly not completing the required days, right? My first question is there a penalty for this? And then
there's no penalty. We know it's an infringement. There's no penalty. So I'm answering that. There's no penalty. But if the 10th Assembly wanted there to be a penalty and wanted to also punish the 9th Assembly, they could do it. But about 40% of them remained in the National Assembly, so they probably don't want to punish themselves.
What would they have done in that instance? Actually, my second question was, could they then, because you also said that they're a law unto themselves, could they have overwritten that error by making a law, making it okay if they didn't complete?
So I've lost you.
Oh,
you said
hello?
Would they have overwritten what? I didn't hear you.
The fact that there was that misnomer where they didn't complete their term. You mentioned something that they have a right to make. I don't know how you put it, but like them being the law unto themselves, so they have.
Yes, they control their own laws. Yeah, so if you put in the right guys, so if you put in the right guys, they could say, subject to not meeting the 181 days, they will be recalled to those same national assemblies will be recalled to their debts to Nigeria is paid. Okay. Meaning they will come and sit down with the new people. We paid them now. Okay. Then you want to just go home and go and sit down. No. Come back, do the work. Okay. Or you now, if you are throwing birthday party and you employ caterer for jollof rice, the person will bring a ogi and akara, and you allow the caterer,
No, I must get my jollof. All right.
Thank
Thank you so much, Edie. Do we have any final questions? I think we have spent an hour, 30 minutes plus, which has been very engaging and insightful, interesting at the same time. Do we have final words? If we don't, I'd like to say thank you, everyone. Thank you for nudging your members to join. I think it was because of the threats. We had over 50 members on the call this evening. Please let it not repeat itself tomorrow. We are learning, right? Let's learn.
Okay. Let me just make it clear. Edie has multiple threats up his sleeve. So it was a pleasure to have everyone here. It was a pleasure to discuss the legislative, sorry. And like we said earlier, there are handles on the Telegram group, all the handles of the Electoral College, be it LinkedIn, be it YouTube, where all the classes are stored. You can always go back, watch a class. You can even carry the YouTube, share the link on your party group, go over the class again, look at angles you probably didn't pay attention to. I'd like to see you do that with political parties and structure as you're trying to elect your local government chairman and, things that, matter to these things. I'm sure it won't help you during debates. So I'd like to thank you all from the little knowledge that I have and I've been able to share. It's been a pleasure with you guys. Thanks to everyone. I think we can close the class today. Thank you, everyone. And you can share. Who is saying we can't share? You can share. You can share the YouTube anywhere you want to. We can't control where you share it. It's on YouTube, so you can share wherever you want with people you want, whoever wants to whoever is going to learn across the class. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for being part of this great class. Thank you very much, Adishola, for your time, dedication to college. Thank you for the admins, Chaya Gambo, Lisa Omi, who is the Deputy Director of Literacy, Maureen, who is my executive assistant, who has been with me since the first cohort, and everybody else that was part of this. With that, I'll say thank you, everyone. Good day, and I'll close this class. Thank you, everyone. Have a lovely evening. God bless.